My name is Ryan Rogers and I'm a community forestry specialist with the City of Boise. Today we're going to plant trees that we know do well in Boise. You want to consider a tree that's appropriate for your climate and appropriate for USDA hardiness zones. Trees are important for our communities because of all the variety of environmental benefits that they provide. The energy savings, the wildlife habitat, and all the other associated benefits with an urban tree canopy. Trees provide monetary benefits. A large mature tree growing on the west side of a house can provide up to $48 a year in energy savings. The most important consideration is planting at the proper depth. You want to plant so your root flare, that's the portion where the trunk transitions to roots and there'll be a visible flare there. You want your root flare to be at or above your final grade. So the most important thing is locate that root flare so you know how deep to dig your hole. So it's okay that you open up the root ball, pull back your burlap and start excavating that soil off the top of the root ball until you locate that flare. And in your containerized tree, same thing. You pull your tree out of your pot and just remove the top inch or two of soil, depending on how deep it's buried in that ball, until you locate that root flare. And then you dig your hole to that depth, not any deeper, and dig your hole 2 to 3 times the width of your root ball. The primary problem with planting too deep is stem girdling roots. The roots need oxygen as well as water to survive, so if they're too deep, the roots tend to come back up toward the surface, and they've been growing in these containers or in balls, so they're already kind of growing in a circular pattern. And as the stem grows, as the trunk grows in diameter and the roots grow in diameter, they'll eventually girdle that stem and disrupt the vascular system of the tree. So it's important to plant at the proper depth. You want your root flare at or above existing grade, and this helps prevent the formation of girdling roots. On our larger tree, what you'll do is you'll just tip your larger tree to its side and roll it into the hole. You'll want to minimize pulling on that trunk as much as possible and then orient it so you know that it's straight in all directions. Once you get your tree in the hole, you'll want to remove the top 1 or 2 rungs of that basket as far down as you can. On our containerized tree, a lot of times the roots will circle all the way down in the pot. So once you find your root flare from your containerized tree, you also need to rough up or kind of fluff up, I sometimes will call it, the rest of those roots. If they have been circling in the container, you can just cut quadrants or use the pick and just kind of tease them out away so they're kind of growing more in an outer pattern instead of continuing to circle once they're in the hole. If it's too low, big tree like we did, you can rock it back and forth, push it to one side and tamp a little dirt underneath, and then rock it back the other way and tamp some under that way, and it kind of just slowly raises it back up. The smaller tree, you can just pull it back out and add more dirt. It's more important to make sure that you're planting it too high than too low. I'd rather err on the side of being too high than too deep. Some trees are marked on the north side with a paint mark, and that was oriented to the north when the tree was growing in the nursery. So if that's present on your tree, you'll want to go ahead and orient that to the north again. The reason for that is the southwestern side is what's exposed to the most harsh sun, and that'll help prevent sun scald injury as the tree starts to get bigger. And then start placing some soil around the ball of the tree. I like to fill the hole about halfway up and then water it and lightly tamp it to help settle out the air pockets and firm up the soil just a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and add the rest of my soil and water and tamp again. And then I'll create a watering berm, kind of a moat around the edge of our root ball so the water can go down deep into that root ball and not run off. So one of the final steps is applying a 2 to 4 inch layer of organic landscape mulch. Many benefits of mulch. They help moderate the soil temperature, they help conserve moisture, they reduce compaction or reduce competition from weeds, and then also they prevent the need for mowing or string trimming up near the edge of your tree, which can cause damage to your trunk. So just any sort of organic landscape mulch will work. The main thing is that it's organic, breaks down over time, and helps add to and build a healthier soil profile. You'll want to remove any tags that are present on the tree, just because as those branches grow over time, they'll become girdled as well by those tags. Typically, you wouldn't want to stake the tree if you don't have to. If the tree's going to stand up by itself, don't stake. If it has the nursery stake growing against the trunk, it's very important to remove that nursery stake, and then chances are you will have to provide supplemental staking. And you would use the 2-stake method, one on either side of the tree and tied back to the trunk with some wide type of webbing that's not going to cut into the tree. One of the most important things about establishing a new tree is maintaining proper watering. Overwatering can be just as bad as underwatering from a tree, and the symptoms will often appear the same. So the main thing is you want to water deep and infrequently. You want the water to go down the entire depth of your root ball, and you'll only water maybe once every third or fourth day during the hot of the summer, and then in the spring and fall maybe only once a week. But the main thing is to get that water down. Keep your root ball moist but not saturated. Typically, we don't recommend any pruning for the first couple of years, first year or two. The tree needs all those leaves on there to help develop that new root system. So if you do have any lower branches, you want to leave your lower branches on your tree and only prune anything that was broken or dead at the time of planting. As far as fertilizing, we don't recommend fertilizing the first year. A lot of times that'll just push top growth and there won't be a root system to support it. So, after the second year, then perhaps a tree could benefit from some moderate fertilization, but not really heavy fertilization. We typically don't worry about fertilizing trees if you have decent soil.